back to part 2 of Business World. Later we'll be talking in the studio to Steve Brooks, the business expert, who's the UK's leading authority on the concept of retail pop-ups. So what can such business pioneers teach us about franchising?
Held over 2 days, the franchise show was an opportunity to hear entrepreneurs from all over the world present case studies for success in a series of seminars and lively forums.
7 years ago, the founder of the full networking business website, Brad Burton, was heavily in debt. But then, with the idea of providing startup services for SMEs business networks, his life and his business completely changed.
What I'm interested in making isn't money, it's making a difference. If I make a difference correctly, I make money. But most people, they come at it about making money first. Make a difference and you'll make money.
Encouragement is essential to enterprise, but starting your own business still needs a lot of preparation. Tutti Frutti is a yogurt brand targeting the high-end market with its natural ingredients as a healthy yet convenient fast food snack. In the market, with high competition, the brand has opened 700 branches in over 40 territories, including 7 in Hong Kong.
Hello, I'm Amanda. I'm one of the directors for Tutti Frutti UK. We have the license to distribute all over UK. So this is our flagship outlet. It's the biggest in the world. Come on in. Take the cup. It goes by weight. They can choose a range from 12 flavors, which is 6 machines, if you could see. It's the best. It is. It's amazing, isn't it? She gets fresh fruit and chocolate toppings, biscuits, you have sauces, everything. If you want, you have a choice of smoothies even.
We met a customer who told us what she looked for in a fast food store.
Oh, I guess something that stands out, something that you recognize straight away from like a logo that you see or a color that you see. For example, the store here looks pretty colorful and it has, you know, the fruits everywhere, so it's quite, I think I'd notice it if I was to see it somewhere else.
Franchise consultant Tony Mandala spoke to a group interested to know more about opening a Tutti Frutti franchise.
Hopefully you've tasted the yogurt at some stage, because that's what it's got it all about. You've got to try it and touch it and feel it. And I had a look at it, and Tutti Frutti's got something like 700 outlets around the world and growing as we speak. Very strong, of course, in America and down to South America, the Middle East and the Far East. A few other odd places. Asia is very, very good, yeah. I understand there's even one in Tahiti now. Yeah. I want to go out and visit it.
And as with the other business models, you have to deal with financial issues.
So I like the idea of yogurt. It just to have a look, the real franchise, how it looks like. So that's why, and I have to discuss like financial matters, how much needed for franchise. So that's why I came here.
The initial franchise fee is 20,000. That buys you the license to use the brand, the rights, the know-how, and effectively that pays for all the work and the research that's been done here to get the business to this stage. 2 machines, and as I said, they're 10,000 each, so 20,000. The point of sale scales and till, which again is something we've sourced to get something that really is absolutely right. We provide you with a stock of inventory to start with, powders, syrups, cups, spoons, everything you need for approximately 1 month. Clearly, if you're very successful, you might need to restock after 2 to 3 weeks. Training and development, we run the training here, so about 5 days, you come in and we go through everything, the practicalities of how to clean out the machines, how to maintain the machines, how to mix the yogurt, of course, but also customer service, all those sort of elements of it. And it doesn't stop there. We will work with you going forward if we have to come out and spend a couple of days in your premises, and we will do what our interest is in getting you up and running, knowing exactly what you're doing, running a very good operation. The initial stock I talked about, the training, which is at least 5 days in here, and the marketing launch. Obviously we provide them, say, the marketing materials and get you up and running. So all in all, there's 51,000 comes out from at the outset. Obviously on top of that there may well be some need for cash flow, and it depends how you're going to manage the outlet. If you're going to manage it yourself from day one, then probably cash flow is going to be relatively low, because once the money starts coming in, you should be covering your costs and taking it forward.
The profit margin everything is fine. That's not a problem. The important thing is a self-service. You don't need that much overheads like staffing. You don't need that much. Basically, the main cost is lease and the staffing cost, which is very expensive.
One of the very important things is to bring together the details of the business plan.
And what I always suggest to you is you start off with a preliminary business plan, because you probably won't have the full details of what premises and so on. And then as you go through the process of coming into the franchise, when you know your premises, you've got a pretty good handle on what the rents are, what the rates are, what the service charges, anything else that might be in there, then you can finalise the business plan, put the numbers in and say, yeah, I'm going to make a great profit out of this. Or if you're not, then why do it? You might need to get some funding. Obviously, if you need some funding, we've got links with the main high street banks. Fine, you might have your own access to source of funding, whatever. But if you're going out for funding, clearly you will need a detailed business plan. And one of the things in a good franchise, and of course it's got to be fair both ways, and clear understanding of what your rights and responsibilities are and what our obligations to you are. If we fail to deliver the powders to you as and when you need, providing reasonable order in reasonable times, then we've failed in our obligation to you. You can't run your business if we don't support you in that way. But equally, if you then decide you're going to close up for a week and don't tell anybody, well, you're failing in your obligations to us. So it's working both ways. What the right locations are. So you're going to be looking at, where is Starbucks, where is Costa Coffee, where is McDonald's, if they're doing well, then surely frozen yogurt should do well. But if you're at the back street of nowhere, nobody's going to walk past. And of course, very importantly, what the local prices are.
So, if you've done the deal and now have a Tutti Frutti franchise, what's the next step towards opening your business?
Okay, so just sort of take you through the system that it works. The people come in, pick the size of tub that they want. As you can see, there's very little choice there. And then, in this outlet, we've got 6 machines, so 12 flavours. So if you were to have even just 2 machines, and clearly picture up, and I say you can change them. So you might find that red velvet doesn't sell very well. Well, okay, let's change it. We'll put soybean up, see how that goes. And it's a real matter of trial and error until you know what really works within your area. So they can then they can fill the tub up with one flavour, they can mix all of them, do whatever they want, and then they sort of move along from there to the toppings, and then they can put on, and we've basically broken the toppings up into two parts. There's the cool area, this is chilled cabinet, so the fresh fruits, the chocolates, things like that, and then there's the ones that don't need so sweets. Yeah, and clearly you need a good range of toppings, whether you need as many as this, of course. And we tend to buy things like the fresh fruit, nuts, locally. Most of it you source locally. Even the sweet things, you can go to the local cash and carry.
You don't need to buy from you?
No, we don't control that. And again, you'll find out what works. If you've got a good, or like a young, trendy sort of clientele, then they may well go for more of the healthy nuts, stuff like that. I've got a lot of kids, then they probably want the jelly beans and peanuts and chocolates and sweet things like that. So that's how then of course they place the tub on the scale, which will record both the weight and the price. So you know straight away. Clearly you need a credit debit card machine, because nowadays people don't carry cash. And that is effectively what the customer sees. Behind the scenes, I mean, we have the coffee machine, as you see there, in bits and pieces. Clearly, as we said, you can have that as well. The only other thing you then need is behind the scenes. You can see this is a chilled chill cabinet. And then at the back of the machines, this is where the yogurt is made. And we have fridges to store the milk. When, again, you don't need fridges of this size for a normal outlet. In fact, the kiosk just has an under-counter fridge. Milk is really the only thing that needs to be stored.
And how often you have to clean the machine? Every day?
You can store it overnight if you've got a full tub, but basically between each mix you should clean it out for health, hygiene reasons. It's a very simple process, very straightforward. 5-10 minutes you can get it.
And within 5-10 minutes you're going to mix it up?
That's right. Once it's mixed up, 5 or 10 minutes it's ready to dispense. Very, very straightforward. You get the marketing, that's very important. Obviously a lot of marketing material or literature, brochures, and ideas on how to get a marketing launch, how to get things going, how to get the excitement in your area. You open this new store, you want loads of people coming in on day one, because it's not just that those will come in and buy, but hopefully they will tell their friends, the ones that couldn't make it on that day. So all sorts of launch ideas, promotions, we do that. Our role as franchisor is to promote the Tutti Frutti brand across the UK. Now we have done things like sponsoring the MotoGP. It got exposure, and there will be other ideas like that. We see if we can get PR, get articles in magazines, maybe at some of the food shows, all sorts of things. Clearly, the supply chain, that's absolutely crucial. You want to know that if you order another 50 boxes of powders, that they are going to be delivered to you within a very, very reasonable period of time. The areas that most franchisees will need help, it might be technical, it might be that something's not quite working right with your mixing, or you've got problems with the machine, you're not quite sure, am I doing something wrong? It might be on the marketing side. How do I promote a bit more? How do I get more footfall? How do I get more customers in? Again, we can advise on that. Or it might be something like staff recruitment. You want to grow the business, you can't find the right people. How do I advertise for them? How do I interview for them? Everybody comes from different backgrounds. Some of you may have done all that before. It holds no worries for you. Other franchisees may never have recruited anybody in their life. So we don't know, until we get to know you better, what help and support you need.
Since it was founded in 2007, Tutti Frutti has expanded into over 40 countries, including China. The brand is now established in many different territories, including Australia, Brazil, Cambodia, Canada, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Vietnam, and so on, with 700 stores worldwide. We interviewed Jay King, the CEO of Tutti Frutti, at the London Franchise Show.
I believe the market for China is actually bigger than United States. Our planning is to start from Beijing and probably expand to Shanghai, and they're talking about Sichuan, the province.
Considering China is such a huge market, Jay took Hong Kong as an example to show how Tutti Frutti localized the brand there.
Hong Kong, we learned that they like more natural than sweet. So our master is actually focusing on adding the natural fruits and natural products the mix with the base powder that we provide to Hong Kong. So, and also there's always local flavors that people love. So we always focus on the local flavors also for the China market too.
In mainland China too, there are examples of how multinational franchises adapt the brand to suit the customer. This report on one such success story comes from our sister channel, CCTV.
The Chinese have been drinking tea for more than 1,000 years. Starbucks took on the challenge, and some thought it could be difficult when they entered China. Yet China is now poised to become Starbucks' second largest market in the world after the U.S. Chic interior design and relaxing music are all part of the coffee house experience that has contributed to Starbucks' success in China. The company is also customizing its menu to suit Chinese tastes.
Based on the Chinese consumer's palate. And then also, in addition, we do have local beverage innovations that we bring into the market as well.
It's been paying off. Net revenues of Starbucks for China and Asia Pacific are over $180 million in the third quarter alone, a 31% increase from a year ago. Starbucks aims to make China its second largest market by the year 2014. The CEO of Starbucks International, John Culver, says operating margins for the company's division are the highest in the world in China and Asia, averaging nearly 35% compared to stores in the Americas with an average margin of just 22%. The coffee maker's Asian business is so lucrative, the company even built a special school for its managers. Recognizing the importance of family in China, the company hosted in April its first partner family forums in China, one in Beijing and one in Shanghai.
What we did is bring together not only our partners who work for us, but also their family members to talk about who we are as a company, the values that we have, and the way in which we are going to build the career opportunity and growth opportunity for our partners as we grow our business.
Starbucks still has at least one other Chinese market to conquer. Old generations of Chinese still prefer tea. Some Western analysts say that many Chinese don't know what good coffee should taste like. But the Starbucks strategy targeting young, urban, and middle-class consumers in China has proven a near unstoppable success. Starbucks opened its 600th Chinese store in July and expects to triple that number over the next 2 years.
China has the most franchises in the world, but the scale of their operations is relatively small. Each system in China has an average of 43 outlets, compared to more than 540 in the United States. Together, there are 2,600 brands in some 200,000 retail markets. KFC was the most significant foreign entry in 1987 and is widespread with more than 3,000 franchises in China, over 500 cities. Many franchises are in fact joint ventures because when they were created, the franchise law was not explicit or established. The Chinese rollout of the global brand McDonald's, for example, is actually a joint venture. Pizza Hut, TGIF, Walmart, Starbucks follow a little later. But total franchising accounts for only 3% of retail chains in China. One expert we spoke to described the particular issues relating to franchising in China.
A big element of who you know, to be perfectly honest, because there is a lot of red tape and a lot of regulation from the Chinese authorities to have permission to operate in that market. So it's definitely going to take some time, lots of meetings, lots of negotiations, and having the right contacts to help that process through is pretty essential, to be honest. And yeah, absolutely, lots of companies, they want a piece of that Chinese market, and there definitely are challenges to achieving that.
China's franchise laws were revised back in 2007, and we thought we'd look at this area in more detail. And to help us do that, we've invited along Steve Brooks. He's a retail business expert and a world-renowned expert also on franchising. Retail pop-ups, now that's an area I'm interested in. I'm used to kind of restaurant pop-ups, but retail pop-ups, where are they happening? What can we learn about them?
Thanks for inviting me onto the programme, Nick. Nice to be onto Business World. Pop-up retailing is all about being in busy environments selling your products. It can be anything from jewellery to mobile phone accessories and service-orientated products as well.
Tell us about the differences in the international scene. Is the sort of pop-ups happening here in the UK, in Europe, in the Far East, Middle East, the USA? What's the difference between them?
Globally, retailing's very similar wherever you go. If you take the retail offers, if you go into a Zara in New York, it's very similar to going into a Zara in Barcelona. And the same can be said of pop-up retailing on shopping malls or in high streets. It's about proving the concept. It's about making sure that you've got a strong business model and offering great service.
So just to get this correct, if you have a Zara in a mall, it's taking it out into the mall itself, is it, for special offers or special promotions?
Some retailers have been experimenting with that more recently, and I think as time goes on, you'll see more and more retailers who are trying to drive footfall into their stores, maybe bring their products out at special times like Christmas to promote gift items and things like that. If you take Crocs as a brand, there's a brand that started as a pop-up retail environment out in the US and Australia, and is now has a retail chain.
Let's talk more internationally, and particularly about China. Are pop-ups happening in China? Because franchising has prompted quite a lot of interest there. We'll talk about more in a moment, but pop-ups themselves.
Sure. In shopping centres across China, you'll see pop-up retailing taking place as you will anywhere else in the world, and probably more so because the opportunities are more in China right now. The European market and US market has very much been saturated in terms of the amount of space that they use, and China's catching up fast.
How fast are they catching up there? Because of course they have the franchise show in China. Was there limited interest before? Is it increasing now, or what's the position?
Yeah, the first year that the franchise show took place in China, there was a handful of people that turned up to exhibit, and only a couple of hundred people turned up to actually see the products. Last year, there were a couple of hundred and several thousand people turned up. So I think that just demonstrates the opportunities there are across China, and it's a growing part of the economy. And if you're looking at China specifically, I think real estate, hotels, obviously food. Interestingly, globally, out of the top 5, there's only one food operator in there, which is Subway. Everything else is service orientated or real estate orientated. So Hampton Hotels, Jiffy Juice, which is a car franchise. So I think look at something that's service orientated would be my first tip as far as that's concerned. But know your market, research your customer base, and see what the needs are within your own environment.
One of the great advantages of operating a show like Business World is we get professionals like you to look into your crystal ball. So here on our show, look into that crystal ball now. Tell our viewers, where are the opportunities? What are going to be the next big things in franchising, and maybe pop-ups as well, in the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years?
So I would say, given China's economy and the amount of people that are there, I'd look at something that's service orientated, and I think that would be a good route to go down.
But I bet you're going to tell me that whether it's a pop-up or a retail franchise, research, research, research. Is that right?
Do your homework. You're absolutely right, Nick. And that's, whether you're doing a pop-up, a franchise, or starting a business, it's the first thing you should do. Talk to your advisors, talk to your banker, talk to your accountant, go and talk to another franchisee and see the successes that they're operating under. Check out the brand, make sure it's got a proven business model, and then understand the culture in which you're working and the laws around that. As you said, in 2007, the franchise laws changed in China, and more recently, in 2011 and 2012, you now have to run 2 locations before you can actually extend that out into a franchise offer. So understand that, understand the culture, understand the laws. From a franchisor point of view, pick the right partner. So pick somebody that understands your industry, maybe also has a proven business track record, because that's very important for the success of the business.
So lots of opportunities in general franchising and those fascinating retail pop-ups. Steve Brooks, thank you very much for joining us on Business World. And as you've heard, with more than 1.3 billion people, China obviously presents vast opportunities for franchisees, and so was a priority target territory for a lot of businesses at this year's franchise show.
Absolutely our hot market for 2013-2014. So we believe that we can really go and add a lot of value to that economy. We believe that we can go into China and really help a lot of Chinese entrepreneurs who, maybe haven't had the structured training and want to really kind of take their business to the next level and think a bit, understand what's some of the most proven strategies that have worked all around the world and how can you access those and then how can you grow even faster. So, absolutely, we want to come into China and find some wonderful partners to work with and some really great people who want to be a part of our community and that we can learn from as well, because it's about learning from each other.
Over the last 10 years that we've been in China, that is a market that's really, really grown for us. We've taken on so many new business partners in that area, and so many of them have been hugely successful that we're in the region of about $500 to $600 million of annual revenues coming out of the Chinese market right now, which is a really big amount.
Number of franchisors that have already expanded into China, and there are a number that are looking to expand into China and see it as a great market. Clearly there's a lot of issues involved in doing that, most notably language, culture, legislative differences. It's a very different country, so anybody looking at going to China needs to think about it very, very carefully and get proper advice, both from a consultancy point of view and from a legal point of view. But again, I don't know of any particular businesses at the moment that are female sort of driven that are going into China, but I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, I think childcare and things like that is one of the prime examples of where businesses in China are growing, and there's a lot of very good, successful franchises in this country that are in that sector.
Right now, China, the main brands in China tend to be food and retail orientated. And China really needs a lot more non-food franchises to come on board. A Western brand now isn't that big an important thing in China. It's more about quality and service and improvements to lifestyle that will really make a difference. So there's a great market in China for franchise businesses.
Yeah, China's our big target. I just was there about 6 weeks ago, and so everybody wants to go to China right now. It's booming. But it's tricky, and so we want to make sure that we have a good business plan and we find the right partner. That's going to be the key. If we find the right partner, I think we're going to have tremendous success because, Pizza Hut's done well there, pizza is popular, noodles, pasta is popular, and so we're excited, but we want to be cautious and smart about how we approach China. Okay, so what we do there is localization. So we will take about 70% of our core menu and we'll bring that to China, and then we'll change the menu about 30% and we'll offer local dishes. Or like when I was in China, I noticed Pizza Hut sells beer and wine. So that's something that we might consider doing. We do that in our stores in New York. So maybe we sell beer and wine, maybe we sell ice cream, maybe we have coffee, espresso, cappuccino, maybe we just have different types of pizza that are like, we have stores in Japan and they like mayonnaise on their pizza. So we'll go in there, we'll do an entry study, and we'll cater to the customer, and we'll change our products to however we think the guest, whatever we think the guest wants is what we'll deliver.
People, whether they're Chinese, Asian, English, are the same. We all have our same fears, we all have our same aspirations. We want to be successful, we want to belong. So for me, China, let's do it. Let's do it.
In future programs, we'll keep you up to date with the latest developments in the global franchise market, and particularly the growth of franchising in China.
And of course, Propeller TV's Business World is very keen to hear from you if you have any comments on this topic or any other relevant subject that you would like us to consider investigating on. hello@propellertv.co.uk. We are committed to providing relevant, informed and engaging coverage of the issues that matter to you. So please do get in touch.
Thank you for your watching. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.